know, when he got there, a week before, I should say, the whole rant that happened online.
Mm-hmm.
He, he just told me, man, he was like, man, they offered me, a bad contract and so on and so forth. You can't believe, man, it was a slap in the face. And I was trying to give him encouraging words of like, hey, look, listen, bro, do what Prime did, man, and come in and use this as a platform to maybe take a pay cut and then get the money on the back end through ticket sales or through however you can do it, you and your team.
Right.
But I know that those students and those people really started to rally behind him and some of the promises he was giving them. And I don't think Ed came with a bad, facetious heart or intent with what he was doing, even after all the crazy things he said about me. Because for me as an Eagle, I'd be crazy to come down and have chicken conversation when you're an Eagle. Because see, I'm not defined by the game that my oppressor gave to me, which is called football. I'm going to a new NFL called Newfound Life, the Now Forever League. And that's the most important league that we have to teach these young people that they need to try to chase, because let's be real. There's more billionaires in the world than pro football players in the NFL and CFL combined.
Wow.
So, for me, it's about the people. It's about the young people and giving them positive realities of life. The positive reality is everybody's not going to make it to the NFL. Everybody's not going to be an actor, an author, a speaker, a coach. So there has to be some people that are filling in the gaps, right? I had a nutritionist, I had a doctor, I had a chef, I had so many other people that helped and still help to this day in my career, right? And they can make a living by being attached to something that they have an affinity for, which becomes hard work instead of hard work. So yeah, man, I'm just elated because although it was a bad thing that happened, how he said it, what he said wasn't necessarily wrong. Listen, I go back to Bethune Cookman every year, and I speak to those students, and I speak to the team, but not one time did any of those players say, hey, Mr. Steve, Mr. Bag, we're sharing cleats, like nobody told me that. And when I give money, just like anybody would give money to anything that they donate to, you don't know what the fiduciary people are doing with the money.
Hey, Steve, I'm going to jump in right there. I'm glad you said that, because that's what I want to talk about. Again, we're talking to Stevie Bass Jr., who's former Bethune Cookman athlete, played at CFL and NFL, author, as well as inspiration speaker. So I guess that's what threw me off, because a lot of people, we all heard it, sharing the cleats. You just threw me off with that one, jerseys and what we're hearing about the university in particular not supporting the athletic program or not having those funds to support an adequate program. Is that true from your perspective?
From my perspective, and I'm glad you said perspective, because you have to approach something holistically. Mm-hmm. We can't get bits and pieces of information from people, y'all, and just take it and run with it. Especially melanated people, we're so enamored with drama instead of getting down to the point.
Yes.
I'm not gonna take the fiduciary and the board of trustees off the hook. I'm not gonna take administration off the hook. I'm not gonna take the coaches off the hook, and I'm not gonna take the students off the hook. Mm-hmm. Because I'll be real, like everyone has to play their part in making something great. But listen, I spoke at Clemson University twice to their football team, and they have the best facility on the planet, and you still found students complaining. So no matter where you go, you know what I mean, students will complain.
That's true.
And from outside looking in, 20 years ago when I was at Bethune, from what they have now, from what we had, I was like, my goodness, right? And so you see the growth outside looking in, because I'm not in the day-to-day. I don't go to the dorm rooms with the students. I mean, most of the time I speak to them, it's at a hotel the night before the game, or the day of the game, right? So I'm not even really on campus. But saying all that to say, man, we have to be more holistic in how we look at things, because there's so many different factors that we don't know. The old president had a botched deal with real estate. And so, you have people saying Cookman got $68 million, but they're paying a bunch of debt back for all of that. You had a hurricane in 2019, you had two hurricanes in 2022, but it's like so many different moving parts, right? And I'm just here to try to help young people be able to realize, man, that if in order to get answers, in order to make change, sometimes you got to do it by documentation over conversation, because that's what this system is about.
That's right. That's right. We are talking to Steve Baggs Jr. He is a Bethune Cookman University alum, NFL 3-time All-American linebacker. He's also an actor, an author, and an inspirational speaker. I just have one question that I'm seeing a lot of. And from your perspective, I know you said you had talked to Coach a lot. So did Ed Reed, that's who we're talking about, had he visited the campus prior to these discussions on the contract and the expectations of what they wanted him to do and his own expectations? Had he visited the campus to see some of the things that we actually saw on the video?
Pamela, that's an amazing question. And that's the answer. I don't know. You know, you would think that before you go sign a contract with a team that you would go down and visit the campus and see what's going on there before you get the deal. That, I mean, that would be logical in my summation.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he just thought, it was what it was. But you have to understand that there's a difference in the ideology of someone who actually played and went to an HBCU and then someone who didn't. Right?
I agree.
Most young men who are great athletes, when they go to a PWI, a D1, a Power 5 school, if their NFL talent is what Ed Reed is, they, as soon as they step on the college doors, they never lack for anything for the rest of their life. So they don't really recognize the nuances of another struggle, right? So I don't know. I can't speak for him on that because I don't know, Pamela. But that was a great question. All I can say is that once again, a lot of people say there's 3 sides to a story. That's your side, my side, and the truth. But really, it's your truth, my truth, and the facts. Like if I'm looking at a 9 and you're looking at a 6, if you're telling me, hey, Stevie, this is a 6, and I'm like, bro, it's a 9. And we're arguing back and forth, and we look crazy because we're both arguing. And until we get out of our own way and move around and we're able to say, oh, man, wow, you did. It is a 6. I do see that. And you're like, oh, it is a 9. And it's like the truth of the matter is that your truth is your truth based on your exposure and your experience and your perspective. But the facts is that it's a number. The facts is that if we're going to help these young people, which is what I do every day. My nonprofit is 20 years old. We have 9 after-school programs in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. We're in the trenches every day teaching young people how to think different. And that's why I say I'm going to a new NFL, the newfound life. Because you know what? There's no gold jacket, y'all, in the spiritual world. There's no Hall of Fame in the Old Testament and the New Testament, for all the Bible scholars. Like at the end of the day, once we start to recognize that we're greater than running up and down the football field, we have to start seeing our opulence and our divinity and our righteousness in every other way. And that's really my plight. And that's really my perspective. I was going to be on a Roland Martin show. I was going to be on a number of shows, but I had to stop and say, I had to do spiritual inventory and make sure that what I was saying and what I was responding to instead of reacting to was going to be not to demean Ed Reed, because society wants melanated men to keep arguing and fighting with one another. That's crazy.
No, you're right.
I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to do that with bruh. I want to make sure that we're giving one another the type of love and healing that we're looking for, because that's all it is. When you're hurt, you're looking for healing, right?
Well, we're happy that we're happy you decided to come on the sports show.
Thank you.
So we're happy you do it.
I listen to the spiritual side of things, y'all, because I recognize that certain platforms, are more grounded, or more for the people, and it's not buffoonery.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
that. Thank you.
We're talking with Stevie Baggs Jr., Bethune Cookman alum, former football player. You play for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Did you play with Brandon Banks? Did you play the same time frame?
Nah, B. Banks came after me, man.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I played on 11 teams in 10 years, so 5 NFL, 5 CFL, and 1 arena team. And that's why I wrote a book called Greater Than the Game, because, I was Black College Player of the Year, all this stuff, man. I mean, I just got in the Black College Hall of Fame. And like I was telling you guys, thank you. And what I was saying, though, to you all just now is that, like, listen, man, I even came back to Hamilton when Brad was there to speak to those young men and try to encourage them and try to, what to do with your money. Start an EIN, get your business together so that when you lead a game, you're not broke and broken. Because a lot of men who lead this game, 78% of people who lead this game and play this game called professional football, 78% end up broke when they're done financially, but then they're broken physically and they're also broken spiritually.
Wow.
Because if you don't know your value outside of playing a sport, then you always not know your worth. And so imagine playing football for me since the age of 7 years old to the age of 31, 32. I'm like, when I took that Rodell off my head and I tried to find myself, I was like, holy Toledo, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I had an international business degree. You know, I had intellect, but I still didn't know because my identity was really caught up in all the hours that I put into this game.
Yeah, in that transition for many people, you know, it's just a part of society, it's part of who we are. We have to learn how to deal with that, and we got to have great people in our lives. But we're up against it right now, Steve. But I got a last question I want to get your statement on before we get out of here. What's next for Bethune Cookman University athletics and the football program?
Well, the one thing that it did is this whole thing galvanized some of the alumni, the former players, and they just announced that they hired Raymond Woody, who's an alum of Bethune Cookman, and I'm excited for him because he's a good brother. He's coached in a number of places, Oregon, Florida State. I mean, you name it, he's been around, and you know, he understands the culture. And I think when you understand the culture, then you're able to give in a different light and in a different manner than a person who doesn't, you know. And so I you know, we're going to be able to hold the athletic director and the administration to a different level of standard and accountability now that we have more information. You know, money ain't power, y'all. Education ain't power. Information is power. And if you have good information, you can use good power. If you have bad information, use bad power. We were badly informed or misinformed or just not informed at all on what was going on. Listen, Bethune-Cookman has 5 sets of helmets, y'all. I got to say this. They have 5 sets of helmets. They have more than any other HBCU. They have a yellow set, a maroon set, a black set, a chrome set. So let's condense it down to 2 or 3 sets of helmets. Y'all don't have to share helmets anymore. See, like all of those little things people don't know. So it's like my good friend who was the athletic director for Savannah State. He graduated from Bethune-Cookman. And he said, Stevie, Savannah State football team would die to trade places with what Bethune had. You see what I'm saying? So everything is
agree with that.
You see?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Stevie.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, thank y'all for having me.
We appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your insight. You know, you told us a lot that, you know, we didn't know because I'm not that close to the program. I don't think many people are. So, outstanding. We appreciate you.
And as an alumni, I wasn't, brother. And that's all I'm saying about perspective. And that's all I wanted us to do is get a holistic viewpoint of what's going on because I still don't have all the answers. I still don't have all the information.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
But I appreciate you guys for having me on and keep doing the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.